Let's talk about the law of vibration. So if you've been interested in manifestation and the secret and the law of attraction, then it's very important that you understand the law of vibration. So the law of vibration states that everything in the universe is moving. Everything is made of moving energy. And that means that everything vibrates. Even if you look at something that looks perfectly still, like the desk behind me, it is actually vibrating very quickly and at a state that we cannot see it moving with our human eyes, but it actually is in a state of moving, of momentum. And so this is something that I always remind myself of, because it is impossible for us to stand still, right? Everything in the universe is always moving forward. And so through the law of action, through the law of inspired action, through tapping into our energy, doing what feels good, we can move forward along with it. But if we feel like we're standing still, then we're actually going backwards. And so this is, again, why it's so important to allow ourselves to go with the flow. Yes, it's important to rest. And so I'm not saying don't rest, but when you rest, know that the rest is part of flow. It's part of movement, because everything is moving. And so what the law of vibration states is that we will attract what is of a similar vibration to the energy that we are currently holding in our body. If you were to ask any physicist, they would tell you that the heart of what our universe is in fact one gigantic resonance, or the result of shared vibrational energy. Because every single entity in our universe vibrates, resonance is at the heart of everything. So that means our heart resonance, our brain resonance, this is being shared within and between all entities in the universe, and they're all affecting one another upon contact. And remember, contact doesn't mean physical. Contact could be that energetic contact. An example of resonance within a thing is neuronal sync. How the rate and voltage of our electrical impulses between our neurons come together, like instruments in an orchestra. Instead of music, which is also a result of resonance, our neuronal sync results in one of 4 brainwave states. And there are more than 4, but 4 is typical to humans. So beta, alpha, theta, and delta, which we'll go into later on in our course. So you can see the law of vibration at work, or that resonance of things working together, working harmoniously, when you see things like a flock of birds flying in formation, or a school of fish traveling in the same direction at the same speed. Even though they look like separate fish or separate birds, they are all resonating and traveling together. Like attracts like. So every single thing in our universe is designed to vibrate and to move and change in the presence of other vibrations. Now, many of us refer to this law in reference to the law of attraction, which describes how vibrational forces interact attractively. But what many people don't know is the law of attraction is actually a secondary law in connection with the law of vibration. So what happens is we get into the right energetic vibration, and then while we're holding that vibration, it gives us the ability to attract whatever is of the like energy. And so if we want to attract more wealth into our lives, then it's really important that we are feeling in that energy of wealth. Now, how I often do this and use this in my life is through using my imagination. So often in school, or maybe from our parents or guardians, we're taught that stop imagining, stop daydreaming, all those different things. But actually, in order for me to get to where I am today, it was through imagination. There were times in my life where what I was going through and what I was experiencing was really hard. And so what I did was I would go inwards. Instead of letting the outside world affect me, I would go inwards and I would allow myself to imagine. I would allow myself to imagine the life that I wanted to live, the family that I wanted to have, the things that I wanted to be able to do. And I would give myself permission to see those things clearly, even though I didn't know how they would show up. when I held that thought in my mind, it shifted my emotions, it shifted how I felt, and it shifted my physiology. And all of these things are tied together, because when your energy and your physiology is in a good place, is in a proactive place, is in a positive energy, then your behaviors, how you show up in the world and how you act are going to be much different. And then your results can come from that. And we're going to go into this later when we talk about how each individual person has a different model of the world, and how when we change our internal filters, which we're going to be teaching in the Yes Apply method, it changes what we're imagining, what we're thinking about, and then can have that domino effect on our feelings, on how we hold our body, how we show up, and the results that we get. This also ties into the Pygmalion effect, which is another concept we're going to get into shortly, which is what we expect of others often becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, and what others expect of us can kind of go in a cyclical motion. And so when we are holding the energy, thinking that things are going to work out for me, people are going to help me, people are going to support me, people believe in me, and I believe in myself, it has a cyclical effect that can become a self-fulfilling prophecy. And so that's why it's so important, in my opinion, to do the inner work first, because it's when the inner world changes that the outer world can begin to change. And that's why, as Yes Apply method coaches and graduates, it's so important to continue to share this work, whether it's through the Earn While You Learn segment or whether it's just from your heart, sharing this work with the world, letting people know that what they do to others is energetically going to come back to them, letting them know that we are all connected, and the better we can support each other, the more it actually means that we are supporting ourselves. When we share that message with the world, and we're able to begin to change people's minds, to change the way that people act towards each other, and then we can create more peace, more love, more harmony, that's going to support everyone. And so that's why this work is so important. Nikola Tesla once said, if you want to find the secrets of the universe, then think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. And so that's why it's so important for us to get our vibration in alignment. So in an earlier module, we talked about muscle testing and how our different emotions hold a vibration. And right now we're going to go deeper into that. So I told you about the chart from David R. Hawkins, where he describes all of the different levels of vibration and what frequency they resonate at. So I'm going to go through it with you today. So at the very lowest is the emotion of shame. That is vibrating at a frequency of about 20. And so it's said that when we're holding a lot of shame in our body, it can pull down our vibration and thus allow us to attract more shameful experiences or more feelings of shame. The next one on the ladder is guilt at 30. The next one is apathy at 50, grief at 75, fear at 100, desire at 125, anger at 150, pride at 175, courage at 200, neutrality at 250, willingness at 310, acceptance at 350, reason at 400, love at 500, joy at 540, peace at 600, and enlightenment at 700 plus. And so these lower emotions, and remember, there's no such thing as bad emotions. When we say lower or negative emotions, we're going back to that law of polarity. Everything is one and the same on the same scale. So being cold isn't a bad thing. Being cold is great if you're trying to make ice cubes. So something that's negative 10 isn't bad. It's just lower than something that's plus 25. And they all have their own unique purposes. Again, our emotions can come up to show us what we have to heal, what we want to look at, or maybe what lessons are there for us to learn from to become stronger, right? And so we can see here on the scale that the lower vibrating emotions are the vibrations of fear, being contracted, and suffering. So the lower we are on the scale holding those emotions in our body, the more we're going to feel like we're contracting, right? It's those times where we might think of doing something and say, oh no, I could never do that. Or when we're feeling suffering, or when we're feeling fearful, right? And so we want to start attracting higher vibrational things. Again, we can go inward change our filters, change our thoughts, and move higher up. And the higher up we move, the higher our vibration, and we're able to attract what resonates with that vibration. So, for example, if you're feeling a sense of pride, maybe you're acting prideful and that's getting in your way. What if you moved into a state of courage, right? How could you be brave or courageous in that situation and change something? Or maybe moving up to acceptance. That is at a vibration of 350. And perhaps from a place of acceptance, you can create a better outcome for that situation, or maybe accept different aspects of the situation and work together for the greater good of all. Moving up is reason, and then we get to the level of love. So it's said when you're vibrating at that level of love, this is where you start to have a significant impact on the world around you, on people, circumstances, and opportunities around you. Like I mentioned before, there was that experiment that was done by Dean Radin, where they had powerful meditators go in and meditate with the intention of peace and love in Washington, D.C. And what they saw was that the crime rate went down more than it had in decades. And what they think was, it was because of these powerful meditators meditating on this positive outcome, and they were able with their consciousness to shift and change the collective consciousness. Mother Teresa always said, don't invite me to an anti-war rally, but I will definitely come to a pro-peace rally or protest. And the reason why is because she knows the power of intention, and wherever you're focusing your energy on, that can help to expand it. And so when you get into that feeling of love, or even higher than it, joy, peace, or expansion, your spirit, your soul, your energy, it starts to shift into a state of flow, into a state of expansion, and into a state of love. And so in many times where I felt lost in my business or in what to say for my marketing or what to put out into the world, I would always ask myself, how can I love today? How can I love and support others? How can I love and support my audience? How can I love and support my students? And that always gets me back into alignment. And it always ensures that whatever message I put out is received with love, and people feel the difference. There's so many times where I post something just from a place of love, not knowing if it really aligns to my marketing strategy or plan or whatever it is, but I just put it out from a place of love, and I get messages from people saying, thank you, I needed to hear that today. That shifted something for me. And at the core of it, that is why I do what I do. And so ask yourself, how can you hold yourself in this vibration? And now for the law of vibration, this is where a lot of people get stuck because they feel like they're not in a place of love, or they're not in a place of joy, or they're not in a place of peace, and they beat themselves up because they're not there. They say, well, I'm angry, and now I'm angry at myself for feeling angry because I know that I'm pushing away or resisting my manifestations. And the more I try to get out of this, the more frustrated I get, and it becomes this loop. And so I encourage you to not try to bypass the emotions or just jump out of it straight into feeling happy without anything changing. But again, these lower vibrating emotions are the opportunity and the sign for us to heal. And later on in our program, we're going to give you the tools that you can use to begin to heal. There's another great book that I love as well from David R. Hawkins again, and it's called Letting Go. And so many of us, when we're feeling a negative emotion, and I have done this as well, when we feel the negative emotion, we feel bad, we feel ashamed, we feel like, oh my God, I shouldn't feel this. I shouldn't feel mad, or I shouldn't feel jealous, or I shouldn't feel guilty. And we try to suppress it. We try to push it in deeper. And again, nothing is created or destroyed. And so when we push that energy in deeper, it's still there, it still exists. And so what he recommends in this book is, rather than stuffing the emotions down deeper, to truly and fully feel them. And so I invite you to try this exercise. When the emotions begin to come up for you, just let yourself feel them. Let yourself bathe in them. Let them completely encompass your whole body. You might get some downloads or some thoughts or some lessons that come through as these thoughts are enveloping you. And what David R. Hawkins says is that by allowing ourselves to truly feel them, we are dissipating the pressure that is behind these emotions, and then we're able to let it go. And there's been some times in my life where I'm going through something really hard. I'm aware of something that I need to heal. And by just letting myself feel it, before I even do the journaling or the mindset techniques to heal it, it has helped me alleviate so much pain, so much guilt, so much shame that I was holding in my body. If there's something that you want and you're feeling some resistance around it, that can also be a clear sign that what you want is on a different vibration. And it's when you move into that vibration that you'll be better able to magnetize it and attract it to you. We also know that things that are resonating at a higher energy actually move faster on the quantum realm. And so think about this. When you are on that higher vibration, what you're manifesting in can show up for you that much faster. So now we're going to talk about the law of attraction. So like I stated before, the law of attraction is a secondary law working very closely with the law